Hi, Jack Malcolm here, and welcome to part 3 of my 4-part series called Embrace the Chase. If you've been following along so far, you now have a growth mindset. You're following both performance and mastery goals. So what could possibly go wrong? Well, here's the problem. As you're going along your merry way, lurking in ambush is a big, hairy problem, just waiting for the worst possible moment to jump out at you. Now, when it does jump out at you, what's it going to see on your face? Is it going to see a grimace of fear, or is it going to see a confident smile? That depends on your mindset as to whether you view it as a problem or you view it as a challenge. Now, let me illustrate this with a story from my own experience. I've been training people all around the world for over 25 years, and one of the things I've learned deep in my bones is A, things will go wrong, and B, how you view the situation makes a significant difference on how you come out of it. One of the best examples of this was about 3 or 4 years ago. I flew to Bangalore, India to do a training class, and I normally get there 24 hours before, so I've got time to rest up and to get over my jet lag a little bit. But this time I had missed a connection in London because of the airline's problem, not my fault, and actually arrived at Bangalore at 7 in the morning for an 8:30 class. By the time I got to the hotel, managed a quick shower, I showed up to class about 10 minutes before it was going to start. Everybody's there, and of course another problem came up. I realized that because of a communication mix-up, that nobody had the materials they needed to get the class started. So I very quickly appraised the situation, got somebody to help me, got somebody to go out and take care of the materials problem, and then I made some changes and I said, here's what we're going to do for the first hour. We can cover this without the materials and we'll change. And I was cruising along, and I thought to myself, well, cheer up, things could get worse. Well, sure enough, they did. About an hour into it, I'm feeling really good about it. Suddenly I see people looking at me kind of funny, and I feel something warm on my face, and I realize I had a nosebleed. So I said, okay, everybody, hold on for a second. I grabbed a tissue, put it up, and said, I think now is the time to take a 10-minute break. And when we come back from the break, we should have our materials. It all worked out. But not only did it work out and I got the class done, but A, it's a memorable class that nobody there will ever forget, and B, I gained a ton of respect and showed that I could rise to the occasion. So it made the rest of the class just go absolutely like clockwork. So one of the things that that story illustrates is that how you view the situation makes a significant difference. And the difference is whether you see it as a problem or whether you see it as a challenge. Let me tell you the differences. First of all, a problem is an obstacle. A challenge is a path. And what I mean by that is a problem is zero sum. Let's say that a rock rolls down over your path and you're blocked. You move the rock out of the way and you're still where you started, so zero sum. But if you take that rock instead and you roll it forward to smooth your path going forward, you now have a positive sum. So a challenge is about moving forward. In other words, a problem impedes you, but a challenge impels you. That means that when you see it, a problem is seen as an inconvenience, a challenge is seen as a gift. And finally, a problem is seen as a threat, and a challenge is seen as an opportunity. Now, that sounds like a lot of maybe new age motivational mumbo jumbo. So let me tell you a little bit about the science behind it. And what I'm going to cover next comes from a book that I highly recommend everybody should read. It's called The Upside of Stress by Kelly McGonigal. And Kelly McGonigal tells us that how we view the situation makes a big difference. And what I mean by that is that we tend to think that whenever we're faced by a stressful situation, the fight or flight response kicks in. And of course, the fight or flight response evolved over millennia to protect us from physical threats. So our bodies gear up to fight or to flee. And according to what's called the mismatch theory, is that modern life that doesn't represent physical threats still kicks in a fight or flight response. And over time, that can be really bad for our minds and our bodies. But what McGonigal tells us is there's actually 3 possible responses to stress. There's a fight or flight response, but there's also the tend and befriend response, and there's a challenge response. I'm going to cover the challenge response here. Basically, what happens in fight or flight is that your mind is seeing a threat And the difference between a problem and a challenge lies in our estimation of our ability to meet that threat. So if you are truly in fear, you don't think you can meet the threat, you see it as a huge problem, then your body is going to do the sensible thing. It sends out hormones to your body to gear it up for fight or flight, but it also sends out hormones that constrict the blood vessels in your body, particularly around your heart. And that makes sense. That makes physical sense, because if you are going to be wounded, you want to limit blood loss as much as possible. The only other problem, though, is that your attention narrows and you tend to focus on things that can be threats. You tend to focus on the negatives. On the other hand, if you feel that you can meet the situation, if you see it as a challenge, if you've got that confident smile, there's a different cocktail of hormones that go through your body that actually cause a different physiological response, expands the blood vessels, and gears you up for better performance. And it also expands your mind. It makes you more creative, and it makes you more alert to opportunities and possibilities. The end result is you actually perform better. And she has cited experiments where they work with folks and they tell them that a challenge response is the right way to go and that stress can be positive for them. And then they give them some standardized tests, for example, and people tend to do better on tests when they're told to view it as a challenge and not as a problem. So then the question is how do you evoke the challenge response when a situation comes up? Well, there's three ways. First of all is change your estimation of your ability to meet that threat by all the preparation and everything that you do. So if you know you've done the work and you've prepared, you should be able to have the confidence to know that you can meet whatever comes up. Now, if you're nervous because you haven't prepared, then you deserve the fight or flight response and you don't have my sympathy. Second is view everything as a learning opportunity. So remember the performance and the mastery goals. And third is remember Katie Ledecky's point, have fun doing it and embrace the chase.